in need for a jog. The weather was nice, I'll run the track twice. But I got a little bit scared. No bulletproof vest to protect my chest. So I thought a new shirt would help. I'll go to the store, the one I adore. But what if the gun starts to pop all over the place and mangle my face? Surely a concert will be safe, but they don't check your purse, for knives are much worse. Maybe the movies will feel good, a real funny flick, that should do the trick. But it could happen there, it happens everywhere. It's everyday news, and it's what we choose. I should go back to school to thicken my brain, snag knowledge obtain. But school is where it happens the most, turns friends into ghosts. We're trapped in this mess, so protect your chest.
Time for
Duh.
Rocket!
Welcome to the Rocky Rundown, where you get to learn a little bit about my week. Party God Squad, hello. Did you have a good week? I sure hope so. This week, if you have any type of soul or empathy in that body of yours, you're probably feeling a little off. But guess what? When a gunman slaughters 19 children and their 2 teachers, you're supposed to feel off and uncomfortable. And you feel off because it's not supposed to be happening. Don't let the American way and complacency normalize mass shootings for us. There's a content page I follow called Betches, Betches, Betches. And they pump out hilarious short videos, memes, podcasts. Bitches appeals to the millennial woman, okay? If Betches has to stop their regularly scheduled content to acknowledge another senseless and preventable tragedy, as sad as it may be, that means people are slowly but surely waking up to the root of all this evil. Money. It's easy for all of us to sit on the couch and get high and have a glass of wine or hop on the phone and talk to friends and family after a long day about, I don't know, what color they're going to paint the hallway this summer. But easy won't get us out of this mess. So figure out how you're going to be a helper, even if you've never helped before. My friends and I, we're having a Beto O'Rourke Bet on O'Rourke party. A small gathering of a few of us where we're going to get together and we're going to phone bank for Beto O'Rourke. We want to help him win Texas. You can't say you want to live in a country with free speech, but when a G like Big Daddy Burr calls motherfuckers out for not changing outdated laws while they're doing a thoughts and prayers press conference, he's a G. And the people saying free speech while they kick him out are hypocrites. So we're doing our own little small phone banking thing. So maybe you'll do your own small phone banking thing. And if you're saying, but Rocky, I've never phone banked before, how do I do it? Neither have I. I'm nervous and excited, and that's all the more reason to do it. Go to betofortexas.com and sign up, or you can DM me and I'll just send you the link. But Rocky, I don't have someone to phone bank with. That's okay. Much like snake yanking or bean flipping, phone banking can be done solo. But Rocky, what if there are no times that fit in my schedule? There will be. The idea of mobilizing for change in the beginning, before I started protesting or donating, always felt a little awkward and uncomfortable to me. That's not an easy thing for me to admit, but it's my truth. Someone else will save us. Someone else will fix this problem that America has. But the bad news is there is no one to save us. We have to save ourselves. And I think I maybe felt that way in the beginning because of American culture. They didn't really portray the cool kids when I was growing up making a difference. Maybe that was on purpose. They showed us that raging on the beach or getting drunk at house parties, that's where the fun was. I'm here to tell you, you can do both. But we cannot, in good conscience, as American citizens, only have fun right now. We gotta clean up our house. And it'll get cleaned up a lot faster if everyone takes a room. If you have your own Beto O'Rourke phone bank party, send me pics of you or you and your friends being sexy little mobilizers, and I'll share them on the Wild Nights page. Remember what Kendrick said, thoughts and prayers look way better off timelines. I've had a nice Memorial Day weekend. Shout out to my cousin Katie. Happy birthday. I just love you. On Thursday, guest of the show, friend of the pod, and friend of me, Megan O'Malley. Please feel free to go back and check out her episode. She had a couple free tickets to see The Who in concert at MSG, and of course, I said yes to her invitation. A night out with Meg and a rock show? Hell yeah. I was bummed though. I didn't have any mushrooms. You know your girl likes to take a couple of nibbles of some shrooms like they're kibbles and bits for humans. I like to go to the musical stratosphere, absorb some lessons from the universe, and relay those messages to you. But alas, I dropped my shrooms at the last concert I went to, Lee Fields, back in April, and I've yet to re-up. I was sad. En route to the concert, 2 Caucasian, early 30s gentlemen entered my subway car. Picture just starting out in their career, Matt Stone and Trey Parker. If you don't know who they are, they're the creators of South Park. They get on smiling, giggly. One was sweating profusely. They were tripping. A mother knows. I was 3 seconds from saying, "Hey fellas, we're actually on the same dimensional wavelength. I know that you have shrooms on you. I'm headed to see The Who. You know, who are you? Who, I really wanna, who are you? You get it. And I failed to prepare to travel to the cosmos. Would you be dears and sell me the rest of your earth? But I didn't ask them that because you don't ask 2 random sweating white men on the downtown W train to sell you their mushrooms. You didn't need me to tell you that though, did you? We had great seats at this concert. In fact, our seats were so good that when we got to them, there were women sitting in them already. "Excuse us, ladies, I think these are our seats." "They totally are." That's what she said to me. Then they got up and told us to enjoy the show in our awesome seats. There are people going to concerts out there who just sit in seats and hope that people never notice. And I knew way more The Who songs than I thought. We took a couple edibles, naturally, to vibe the fuck out. Now me and Meg, we're concert standers, we're concert singers, we're concert dancers. But because we don't have a strong attachment to The Who, it didn't seem like our place to be the concert leaders in the standing charge. We were waiting for our cue. Nothing. Legendary rock and roll group, iconic venue. They didn't stand for Pinball Wizard, they didn't stand for Teenage Wasteland, and they didn't stand for the acoustic version of The Seeker. They ain't standing. We didn't even spark up our joint. It felt like we were surrounded by BCE, big cop energy. I owe you all an apology. In my effort to always be present at concerts, I didn't have my phone out and I didn't have a little notebook to write in. I just had the will to say I would remember every single one of these epic thoughts I was having about the show. And I did not. I will say, if these guys are rocking out at 77, you could probably do yourself a favor of stretching a little bit more in the morning, bruh. Leaving the concert was not for the faint of heart, I'll tell you that much. There's some construction happening at the garden currently, so there was a lot of scaffolding, wooden walkways. That was the only way of exiting. Tunnels, essentially. In a matter of 10 minutes, we saw 3 different couples. One partner in each couple was belligerently drunk, and the other telling them, "Get your shit together, stand up straight, stop yelling, you're a mess." And that all happened within 10 minutes. 3 different couples. I have no judgment on couples fighting in public. You never know why. I will say that the vibe of these folks was not an enlightened one with post-rock legend concert energy. You just saw The Who play. Stand up straight. Maybe just smoke a joint next time. This was very dark energy from everyone in the death tunnel. I'm not saying death tunnel lightly either. Picture yourself walking in a wide tunnel surrounded by people you don't know. People to your left. Ugh. People to your right. Ugh. Front to back, no exit anywhere in sight, and the construction is blaring. It was a scary sitch. I felt like a stampede could legitimately happen at any minute. Eventually, we got to a fork in this nightmare and went towards a newer batch of people. They had better energy. I've been a Real Housewives of Beverly Hills fan for a little over 5 years now. I put them on during a flight to Costa Rica and I never looked back. One of the reasons I like them is because I've always had an obsession with Hollywood and Beverly Hills. It could be because the first Jackie Collins book I ever read was Hollywood Wives when I was 14. Who knows? All I know is it's my guilty pleasure. that I don't feel super guilty about pleasuring in. And lately, a lot of these women have been talking about how poor they are. Hey, ladies, ixnay on the or pay, okay? We're trying to have a little couch vacation, okay, gals? Your life needs to be unrealistic to our expectations. I want to watch you mukbang caviar, not budget well and do your own makeup. What the fuck? Nobody wants to watch Real Housewives complain about money and mean it. You can't have everything, ladies. Give us something. That brings us to Rocky's highest thoughts, my most stoned thoughts of the week. Number 1, it's actually bullshit that the radio plays No Scrubs, but never plays the version with the left eye rap. Number 2, it's very cool that so many people can get a piece of the entertainment world pie. There's Twitch, there's YouTube, there's podcasts, there's TikToks. I mean, people are legitimately making their money being entertainers without gatekeepers. You can just be out here living your life, doing you, recording it, and people will pay to consume. I think that's dope. Number 3, I was halfway through drinking a milkshake. And I was watching something, I think it was Weekend Update, and they said how some guy got caught peeing in milkshakes recently. Number 4, I apologize if this is a repeat and I've said this before, but it's often on my mind. It popped in my mind again when I recently saw a literal commercial for Jesus Christ. That's right, an ad for Jesus Christ. I really feel like Jesus didn't turn water into wine. I think it's an expression that has gotten inflated since the Last Supper, through the years, you know? He did not turn water into wine. He just picked up the tab for all of his broke-ass friends. You can skip the H2O tonight, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. The son of daddy's got it. And number 5, am I just a differently voiced Natasha Lyonne? My guest this week is comedian Jacob Williams. Not only is Jacob a hilarious stand-up comedian, he also shines as one of the cast members of MTV's Wildin' Out. Make sure you look out for him there. In Jacob's wild story, he shares about a day he got out of his comfort zone a little. So this week, I urge all of you to do something a little out of your comfort zone that you think will bring you a little bit of joy. If you haven't done so already, please like, share, subscribe to the podcast. You can follow me on TikTok and Instagram at Wild Nights with Rocky, on Twitter at Wild Nights Pod. If you want to watch extended interviews with all of my guests, please subscribe on YouTube. And if you want to support the show with your wallet, you can become a Patreon for $2 or $5 a month. A big thank you to everyone who's written a review on Apple Podcasts, and a future thank you to everyone who's going to write one in the future. It really does make a difference. And now, please enjoy my Wild Nights conversation with Jacob Williams. Jacob, welcome. Thank you for doing the podcast.
Hey, Rocky. Thanks for having me. Good to see you.
It's great to see you. Last time I saw you was my birthday party. We had some fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Outdoor fun hang.
Yeah. I've been trying to make that kind of like a tradition, just to go to the park, make some people show up, and yeah, we ended up raging on till about 6 a.m, if you can believe it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
In the park or somewhere else?
No, not in the park. Not in the park.
Wow,
I'm not raging that hard, but people came back afterwards to my place, and then next thing you know, it was like, is that the sun coming up? I think it is.
Wow, that's so cool. Yeah, I think a lot of my birthdays have gone until 6 a.m., which is also like pretty normal for my sleep schedule, because I usually don't have to work until 8 p.m. when I'm doing a stand-up show, and so I end up on this weird vampire sleep schedule. But it's always nice when other people are on board with it too.
Yeah. I mean, I think I only got 11. I woke up around 11:30 that Sunday, but it was I don't know. I just felt like it was a great birthday. You could even say it was a magical birthday.
Oh, wow. Yeah, imagine, that reminds me of a story.
Yes. So Jacob's wild word was magical. So Jacob, give us your wild night story. Magical.
Oh, sure. Well, yeah. So that makes me think of my story, because that was the word that I had. But yeah, which is that I basically it was like, I think sometime in like 2017, I was doing a college gig in Florida, I probably should have like looked up more details before this.
That's
Remember
okay.
like
We'll wing it. No, nobody's going to be cross-referencing you. So Peppermint. But do you remember what college in Florida?
no, that's what I just realized.
Oh,
I should probably know that. But basically, a super great college, whatever it was. Maybe it was the University of South Florida or something. I don't remember exactly the
shout
name.
out to them.
Whoever
Super
it
great
was,
university, he says.
I apologize for not remembering the name because it was a few years ago. But I had a really fun show there, and then I think my friend J.R. Tickozman was on the show, and he's a really funny comic from
He's
LA.
funny, yeah.
And so I was doing the show with him. I think we were both doing like 45 to 60 minutes each, and then it was yeah, and he was telling me I think he had just done an album and had a good experience with that. So that was like part of what inspired me to do my album Unemotional Roller Coaster. So it was like
Mm-hmm.
a really fun show and stuff. And basically since I do remember the show was in Florida, so basically I was scheduled to fly back to New York the next day, but I think sometime that day, last minute, I was like on a whim, I decided to like reschedule the flight so I could like drive to Orlando the next day and go to Universal Studios. I like wanted to go for a long time and check out like the Wizarding World and a
Harry
lot of
Potter,
rides.
yeah, and I assume you'd never been there before, right?
I don't think so. I think maybe one time as a kid I had briefly been there for a day, but it was like part of like a kind of a short trip and
Yeah,
yeah,
and
so
not the
it's great
Harry
to,
Potter
oh
experience,
yeah, the Harry Potter thing didn't exist at the time. So I'd
right?
never been to like the Wizarding World, and I don't know if I'd even done like the Jurassic Park ride, which I'd always wanted to do since
Right,
growing up and stuff.
it's a good one.
So I was like, oh, that'll be fun. And then I think what happened was like I did all this maybe like while I was like landing to go to the college gig, but I think my phone was like the storage was full or something, so it started like malfunction. Basically, my phone died on the way to the college gig, so I was like able to make it there, but I had to like I'm not even sure honestly how I got the directions down when I rented the car, and then
Yeah,
I knew enough to like get there, but it's kind of a miracle that I made it there with my phone died,
and you
and
were
then
solo, or was the person who was doing it? He was not with you. You were
I was
walking solo.
traveling solo from New York,
Mhm.
and then I was gonna meet at the show where, yeah, with the other comedian, and somehow that all worked out. I got there so, but yeah, I remember my phone was basically already dying or not working on the way to the college gig. Luckily, I was able to make it there on time, and the show was a lot of fun. So I did the show, and then I think hung out with a JR and his girlfriend afterwards at a got some food and stuff, and then but I guess my phone by then had like somehow died where like I found out later that I think the storage was full or something, and it
Yeah.
just would died where it wouldn't turn back on again. And so I'd already rescheduled my trip to like drive like 2 or 3 hours away to Orlando, and then fly out of Orlando the following day because I wanted to go to the Universal Studios and the Wizarding World and everything. So I decided to yeah, so I stuck with that plan, but luckily yeah, my friend I think was able to like Google the directions there and write them down, and so it was like kind of like being transported back to I guess like 10 or 20 years ago when you had to
Yeah,
like print
the
out
Google
MapQuest.
Maps days. Yeah,
Yeah.
MapQuest days. So how many years ago was this? You remember?
This was like 2017, I think,
Okay,
somewhere in
so
there.
yeah, so these are the directions, the MapQuest directions and the writing down directions. That's like requires a totally different skill set than Google Maps.
Yeah, so it's because like if you make a wrong turn,
Mhm.
then like you don't know, you could just get if you veer from them at all, then it's hard. You might just like end up somewhere where you don't know where you're. But luckily, it all worked out. I was able to like kind of figure out from that how to get to Universal Studios, and it was
Yeah.
like so I drove there that night and saw where it was physically, and then drove to like where I just saw hotels were, and just eventually found a hotel to check in person, which again was like interesting to not
Did you
try to reserve
hotel
it.
hop, or were you just like, this one looks like it's in my budget, I can do this, it looks semi safe, I'll go here?
Yeah, I think I might have tried one or two,
Mhm.
and one of them was like open and affordable enough
Yeah.
that I just did that. And so yeah, so the next day I went to, which I guess I was mostly good. It was, yeah, anyway, I ended up just going to Universal Studios for the day by myself, which ended up being yeah, pretty fun. I think it was probably actually a lot better that I didn't have a phone because I was able to be kind of more in the moment, and so it
Yeah.
was fun to just yeah. So even though I was alone, it was like pretty fun. Well, I guess it makes sense that it was fun because it's. I mean, that's kind of why it's there, and that's why lots of people go
The
to.
nature of Universal is like just a good time. I've been there before. It's just like nonstop. I actually liked it more than Disney World.
Yeah, I think I did too. It was honestly, yeah, it was weirdly like one of the best days of my life, I think. But yeah, probably because of the combination of the phone not being there and then
Yeah.
going to all this like immersive entertainment and rides and so going on all the Harry Potter rides and tasting like the butter beer and seeing
So
like
good.
live performers dressed as like the Blues Brothers and part of Universal, or like going to the Jurassic Park ride or like these other rides that were movie rides were so entertaining. And then I found out in like the Mummy Returns rides, it was like all these movies from my childhood that was just
Crazy that fire gets so close to your face in that ride. It's wild.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was really cool. And then the whole Jurassic Park thing where you're like, there's these animatronic dinosaurs and you're on a raft or whatever. I'm just like such a big fan of movies and entertainment and spectacle and rides and stuff. So that was really fun. And all the Hogwarts Express and the Gringotts and Hogwarts rides and stuff. So yeah, it was just like a really, especially once I found out the single riders line, like you can just get on if you're by yourself. There's like a shorter line because they want to just fill in empty seats that
Oh,
are
so they just let people skate by, like if they're by themselves.
yeah, you can basically wait in like a shorter line of like single riders that are like yeah, for like if there's like a group of four and it's like a row of five and they're like we want to sit together, they're
Oh
like, well,
yeah,
here's a
or
stranger
probably
that
if people are like in traveling in threes and stuff. So you probably did this like morning. You got there early, I'm assuming.
kind of. I was again. I have a weird sleep schedule, so I don't know how early I got there. But yeah, I got there like in the morning
Uh-huh.
or early afternoon or something, and then I was there all day, just like doing as much as I could until I think I got. I think I stayed until they basically security was like, oh, you actually have to leave. Like this
Hey, buddy,
park
we
has been
need you to
closed. You've
go.
been. I was, and then I was just like browsing the gift shop for way too long, and they're like, I was just like the guy that stood there way too long, but because I was yeah just taking it all in, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fun to do that. And yeah, I think I'm just a big fan of theme park. Since then I've gone to like another time I was driving back from a gig and ended up like going to like the like Six Flags in New Jersey when they had like Fright Fest and going to like 9 haunted houses there. And
They have a wild fright fest. But I want to get back
oh
to
yeah,
Universal. So you're
right.
at Universal, you spend the whole day there. They kick you out of the park because you're lurking by the Harry Potter photos, trying to pretend to be one of the pictures. And now you go back to your hotel room, but you still have no phone.
Yeah, I had no phone. So basically, I think I just had to. I think I had my laptop with me, luckily. So I think there was like someone I was dating at the time that was like kind of a newer thing, and so I like had her email address. It was something where I think we had like met through Bumble, and then but we I like had her email from something, so I like emailed her to let her know that my phone was dead because I think we
Yeah.
originally were gonna maybe meet on that Sunday, and then I last minute changed the trip, and so luckily I was able to let her know via email that like I wasn't back in town yet.
Okay.
And she's like, I'm glad you told me that, so I don't have to murder you, because I think she would have thought I was like ghosting her or something if
Yeah, if it was like
because
fresh like that.
my phone, she might have reached out on my phone and I wasn't able to respond there. But so yeah, and so I think I guess through my laptop I was able to like figure out the directions to the airport. So really it was yeah, and then I think at Harry Potter I was like so shy and nervous to ask anyone to like do this, but eventually I like got the courage to ask a stranger to like take a picture of me with like the dragon behind me and then like
Yeah.
email that to me. And I just felt so bad. I felt like I'm so scared of talking to strangers, but I was glad I did that. So I had like one photo from the day, but then the rest of the time I was able to just like kind of enjoy it without. I think it made it a lot better than the times where I'm just like probably checking my phone too much, which is most of the time. So
Yeah. Or even like when we're all out with a group, like, you know, you think about that, you're like, oh my God, we're all together. Like, especially the older you get, everybody is friends, maybe friends for a long time. And then you're like, oh, we're sitting here. We've been planning this hang for like 2 weeks. And I'm checking my phone every 10 minutes. It's like the people I want to be with, I'm with. Why am I checking Instagram for, I mean, don't even get me started on Instagram. I feel like
Yeah.
everything I scroll now is all sponsored, and it's not even the people that I want to see post. But so this story to you was particularly wild because A, you were without communication, and B, was it the spontaneity of it? The fact that you were
Yeah.
just like, I'm gonna go to Universal, and that's like way out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, I think it was the spontaneity, and I think yeah, that was probably, I think it was partly like the first time I did something like that where I like changed travel plan. I used to be more of just like go to the gig and go home, and I think that was like the one of the first times, and I've been really happy that I've done it since then, of being like, you know, that's kind of like I think when I was starting out in comedy, as much as like comedy is such a fun thing, I like took it really seriously and would actually
Yeah.
like be very stressed and anxious about it, even though it's seems like one of the most fun jobs, and it is. It's like
Yeah.
I had so much like general social anxiety and stress about and worrying about everything in general that like I didn't really necessarily enjoy some of the fun stuff about it, because I was always just like thinking about the future of like, oh, I want to do this so I can become a full-time, and I'm like, now I'm like lucky to be doing comedy full-time and stuff, but it's like I don't want to just like be looking at the future all the time. So yeah, so I try to do that stuff more now, where I'm like, if I have time to like explore the town that I'm in or something cool like near the gig that I'm at out of town, or even in town, or whatever
Yeah.
it is. So
You're saying you push yourself out of your comfort zone.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like yeah, it seems like it'd be easy to do stuff for fun, but I think for me it's like I grew up just thinking, yeah, maybe in that weird mode of where I felt like I had to feel guilty all the time, or like work really hard at the time, or like I felt guilty about having fun at all. So it's like
Yeah.
kind of counterintuitive. It's kind of like something I read about in the Artist Way, maybe, where like there's the morning pages where you write 3 stream of consciousness
Yeah.
pages in the morning.
I do
And then
that.
the other big thing I got out of that, so I do that every day. That helps me a lot. But the other big thing is like doing like an artist date,
Hmm.
which is like just doing something for fun by yourself, hopefully at least once a week. And that's something I actually like. It seems like it would be easy to do, and because it's
It's
fun.
not.
But yeah, that was like weirdly hard. That was like one of the first big ones I did
Do
in
you
terms
remember
of.
your first artist date?
That's a good question. I don't know if I remember exactly, but I think one of the first ones I did was like I've read the book a couple times now, once on my own and once with a book
Group?
group that would talk about it, which was really nice. But I
Yeah.
think that when I first read it, I think I might have heard about it through like Patton Oswalt or someone, and just from hearing him talk about it in an interview or something. But I think it was maybe around like 2012 when I started reading it. So one of the things I did was, I was living in Chicago, and I would like go to there was like a forest reserve or something, so I would go there and like go on a like drive there just to go on a hike, and I'd see like all these deer and just really feel like in such a better mood because of like seeing all this nature and trees and stuff, all the whatever it was there. But so that was really nice. And then yeah, and then yeah, maybe going to see, when I was living there, going to see like stuff just as a fan of like improvised Shakespeare and TJ and Dave, and like these really
I love
interesting
that.
comedy shows that are like different than what I was doing in stand-up or some of my early improv classes at the time.
Yeah, if
But
anybody has the
yeah.
opportunity to see TJ and Dave live or improvised Shakespeare, you will not be disappointed. They are amazing, whether it's in Chicago or on
Yeah.
tour. They're both incredible. My first ever Artist Way date. Well, here's my confession.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you mentioned Artist Way because I started doing it again 2 days ago. I did my morning pages 2 days in a
Oh, cool.
row,
That's
but
great.
I didn't do them today. If you don't do your morning pages, can you do them in the afternoon or do they have to be in the
Yeah.
morning?
I mean, honestly, when I say morning pages, for me it is almost always afternoon, just because
Okay.
I wake up so late. But I try to do them like generally after I wake up. But sometimes, yeah, sometimes I do other stuff first, or I put it off. I
Because if I
generally
do
try to
them
do it.
now, I will have my morning pages done. Say what you were going to say.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, I think it helps me to do it before I have like a major interaction or leave the house. Like I generally try to do it before I have like, but I think yeah, it's probably different for everyone. But yeah, I know it's helped me a lot because I think for a while I took it for granted, and I think around like 2013 or something, I'd been doing it for a while, and then I took a
Yeah.
break. And then when I took a break, I thought it'd be fine. And then in retrospect, I think it just put me in like a more negative headspace because it basically just helps me like clear my head and
It
like
is very good for clearing your head.
yeah. So like if I have any stuff I'm worried about or resentful towards someone, just writing it down on paper, it kind of like gets it off my chest in a way where I can move on and either not worry about it or just deal with it when it comes up and not be like, but yeah, when I don't do it, which hasn't, I think I've been doing it nonstop for like years now, even whether it is like, you know, sometimes like not exactly the morning, but I think I do it every day. And
That's
yeah, I think,
awesome.
yeah, it's just, it helps me a lot for sure.
Good. Well, I want to ask you a couple questions about Wild 'N Out because you are on Wild 'N Out for, is it how many years
Yeah, I auditioned, it might have been like 10 years ago now or
now?
so. I think yeah, I did America's Got Talent in 2012, and after that I was a little bit depressed because I was like I didn't do as well as I wanted on my last round.
Right.
And so I was but I technically started doing comedy full time around then, but I would just yeah, after the end of that show I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna make it in comedy, or like I feel like
Yeah.
I had like a bad impression on my last set, or that's what I felt at the time. But I had other sets on it that went well, and I was just I think like being really hard on myself. But basically, Nick Cannon was hosting that show, so he'd seen me there,
Hmm.
and he had seen me before that because in college I won this contest to open up for him on his first Showtime special,
So
which was
you're kind
really
of in
fun.
his orbit.
Yeah, it was just kind of felt like coincidences at the time. But yeah, in college, I had spent about a year of college. I was going to college in Wisconsin, but I spent about a year like instead of studying abroad, I was spent a year like studying doing this off campus program in Chicago, and as an excuse to basically do more stand up. And so from that, I was able to kind of get more stage time there, and ended up getting like a tape of a stand-up set at Comedy Club on State in Madison with where they had like just some of the best audiences ever. They have really good crowds there, and so I did like a pretty good tape from that I submitted to this contest, and that was kind of I think what helped me when the contest opened up for him and get like basically a free trip to Vegas to do stand-up before his taping, and then it was the tape I sent for my first audition for America's Got Talent where I ended up doing 4 rounds and going to the semifinals. So it was just kind of a coincidence that he was at both of those, I guess. But from that, and I didn't know much about Wild 'N Out at the time, to be honest. But
Yeah.
I guess I certainly didn't know they were about to reboot it. But I guess he was kind of thinking about that at the time. So he happened to see me in a couple of places do stand up a few times, and I guess he just thought it was funny or that it might work for the show.
Yeah,
And
it
he was
makes
the one
sense.
that
Yeah.
yeah, so it ended up working out. I've been able to do I think 11 seasons now, but it was at the time like something where I think everyone else involved in the decision was really hesitant to book me because they were like, "Oh, I don't get it. This is like a a hip hop style improv show, and this guy seems like very white and nerdy and quiet and awkward." I guess since he'd seen my stand up, he enjoyed it
He's
enough
into it.
to
Yeah.
really give me a shot. And so yeah, I have a story on my YouTube special is free to watch, Unemotional Roller Coaster, where I have like a story about my
Everybody check it
audition
out.
for that show and goes more into detail. But basically, yeah, like it's true that the first year I did that, I couldn't even get into the after party because like the bouncer didn't believe that I was in the cast.
Oh
And
my
even
God.
even the most recent season I taped in like near LA or something, I was like wearing the full cast uniform. I was about to go on stage and tape an episode, and I stopped to get coffee on the set, and the person working there was like, "What do you do on the show? Are you like a production assistant?" And I was like, "Oh no, I've been in the cast for 11 seasons, but I guess I just don't always come across as that confident still, even now. So I have like the production assistant energy apparently. But
That's okay.
but
That's
anyway,
okay.
yeah,
Well, I
which is
mean, I
totally fine. I love production
yeah.
assistants; they're killing it.
But when you're on the show and you're like, I've been contributing to like the funny of it, you're kind of like, no, I'm in the forefront. I'm
yeah,
not behind the scenes. But I wanted to ask you, um, has there ever been a guest that you were super intimidated that they were coming on, like more than normal?
That's a good question. I guess not. I don't think that's happened too much. There've definitely been some amazing guests. Like even I think my first day on the show, Kevin Hart was the guest, and he
Oh my
was,
God.
which should be intimidating, but at the same time, he's like very friendly, warm, and like
Mhm.
welcoming. So like, yeah, he like took a picture with me. He was talked to me a little. He was like making fun of people during commercial breaks, like just kind of riffing with people.
Yeah.
Even on that, if you watch that episode, we are doing like this thing where you're supposed to say funny like pickup lines,
Yeah.
and people were like, and I was walking up and people were like saying my name, like cast members that knew me or something, and then he got really into it. He's like, yeah, go get him, Jacob, or whatever, and he like was like
So
hyping
he's
me
your
up.
pal.
but uh but yeah, so I don't know. And then we saw like Macklemore perform there, and there was like, I think before their song had come out as much, because it was getting taped like 6 months in advance, and so it was going to air like when. So then I was like, oh, these guys are pretty good. And then of course that their songs got really popular after that. And then it was kind of similar seeing like, I think like I want to say it's Chloe and Halle, who are killed
Oh
it,
yes, the singers.
who are, yeah, which is now one of the leads of yeah, the lead of the new Little Mermaid movie. But they gave
Amazing.
this amazing performance. It was really cool to see some amazing musical performances, and just, yeah, super funny comedians like D. Ray Davis and all these people that were on the show a lot. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I definitely was intimidated, especially the first season, just by like being like, it's so weird to be going from, having only been doing comedy about 5 years at the time, and like a lot of that at open mics in Chicago and stuff, where there's like 5 comedians there just staring at you and not laughing. So it's like weird to go from that to like you're at these tapings with really fun MTV audiences and stuff. But
All right. So again, with Wildin' Out, was there ever an episode where you just really felt like this is the pinnacle? This is so exciting. This is my moment. Like I've peaked here. And not to say that you've peaked here, because I'm sure you're probably gonna have many more I peaked moments, but it ebbs and flows with comedy, right? Where you're like, I'm on
yeah,
top now, and then you get to the top again. So has there been a moment on Wildin' Out where that happened to you?
yeah, I think yeah, there've definitely been a few moments like that that felt like milestones, especially, yeah, now having done it for 10 years or so. Like my first season, I think there was an episode where it was like the first time where I felt like kind of was able to be consistent enough to do kind of something funny in each game of
Mm-hmm.
the show. And I think there was something in the first season, where it was like the first time I rap battled with Nick Cannon,
Mm-hmm.
and had a couple of lines, and one of them I think like made it into the trailer for the season. So that was like definitely really exciting for me.
That's awesome.
And then yeah, there are some other moments like that. And yeah, I mean, even like the most recent season I did, it was like some of my favorite things. Like um there was this thing where you do different dances, and one of them was the spider, and I just did like these dance moves as Spider-Man, which is really silly, but it was fun. Or there was like a roast battle I did this season with Amber Diamond, which I posted on my Instagram, and it's
Yeah.
something where we were like supposed to be saying like quick jokes, making fun of each other back and forth, and then
Yeah.
I ended up like turning it into stuff where I was just saying that I like how much I like had a crush on her, and just like did the roast format, but I was just saying like more compliments, which was like
Yeah, I think I
fun.
actually saw that. You just
Uh,
kept like being nice, like saying nice things, complimentary things.
yeah, because it was like
Yeah.
someone that I am, yeah, that I think is like a cool person, that is like, it was difficult to roast, so I'm like, I'll just go the other way. But so that was really fun. But yeah, and then like a life where I like improvised something in the moment that did really well. I don't know, but anyway, yeah, so there've been a lot of fun moments along the way. But yeah, I guess I kind of like that it's yeah, a place to do improv, which is like generally really fun, but usually like no one gets to see it, so it's like I'm glad
Yeah.
to do it in a public forum. And I still love doing improv, whether anyone's watching or not, or whether there's a small audience or not, and it's
Same.
whether or not it's being recorded. But
Yeah,
yeah,
you
that's
have to. We only have a couple more shows left at the Armory. You should try to jump on one before the end of the season with our team.
oh, that'd be awesome. Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, that'd be, totally down to do that for sure. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, you're always
Blow up
welcome.
on
You're always
all the
welcome.
time.
One thing I want to kind of end with, you're from Louisville, right?
Yeah.
So do you get to go back down there often?
Yeah, actually, I went back a couple of times within a month, or like within the last couple of months. I've been back twice. Yeah, so I went back once around Easter because I wanted to see my family for that. So I ended up doing a show then where I did like over an hour of new stuff since my album that was at this place, Planet of the Tapes. And then yeah, I went back in May for I did a private event where I did stand up for a private event during Derby Day, but I ended up going to the Kentucky Derby that day and checking it out, and then hang out with my parents on Mother's Day, which was a lot of fun. So
Oh yeah, I'm sure they love
yeah,
that.
so I always like going back. Yeah,
And now,
it was great. Yeah, so yeah, for sure. Yeah.
with so you get to spend a lot of time in New York. Obviously, you've been here for years. You've been in Chicago. You've been in Chicago. You've been in New York. What would you say is the to you an obvious difference from the North and the South that maybe somebody else wouldn't recognize? So we know that there's Southern hospitality, you know, those general tropes, but what is something about the South that maybe people in the North don't know?
That's a really good question. I guess I don't really know off the top of my head because yeah, I feel like growing up in Louisville, Kentucky, I guess it's part of the South, but it's also like such a decent sized city that it feels like
A big city.
yeah, it feels like kind of a big city. So they have like a really good theater scene and some really great museums and schools and stuff. So growing up, I definitely met a lot of people that might have like a southern accent or live in more rural parts of Kentucky. But then I met a lot of people that where their families were from
All over.
all over. So yeah, so it's like yeah, so I guess I'd have to really think about it. I wish I had like an answer ready to go, but yeah, going back, it's like maybe it's like a little slower pace than New York or something because
Yeah,
I mean New York
everything
is such a
is.
specific chaotic thing, which is like what I love about it. But I do like going to Louisville partly because of yeah, it is kind of nice that it's like maybe a little more leisurely paced in terms of everything. But I don't
Yeah.
know, but yeah, there's a lot of similarities too. So it's like I'd have to really think about it. I don't know.
Nothing feels leisurely here unless you
Yeah,
make it leisurely yourself. Except for fun park hangs
yeah,
and improv shows with half full audiences. Those feel leisurely.
yeah, those are similar.
So Jacob, you mentioned your album a couple of times, Unemotional Roller Coaster. Where can everybody check that out?
Oh yeah, so my album Unemotional Roller Coaster, it's an hour of stand-up comedy. That's some of my favorite jokes that I've come up with. I taped a New York Comedy Club, so if you want to see this special, it's free on YouTube. It was shot by Patrick Colbert from a few different camera angles,
Mhm.
and edited by him. And then 800 Pound Gorilla did the audio album, which people can hear on the SiriusXM channel. There's a clean version on SiriusXM that you can hear sometimes on Laugh USA channel and other comedy channels, but I think it's available on most like audio streaming things too. So if you want to listen on Pandora, Spotify, and other things like that, you can make a channel in Pandora or listen to it however you listen to music. And yeah, and then yeah, of course I'm on social media at Mr. Jacob Williams and JacobWilliamsComedy.com. We'll mention tour dates. I think I have something July 2nd in Atlantic City at the Atlantic City Comedy Club or the Celebrity Theater there at the Claridge Hotel.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
some other tour dates and college gigs and other shows coming up. And I'll also be doing some things like our friend Leah Evans wrote a Nickelback musical,
Yeah.
with scenes and a song to the music of Nickelback. And the script is so funny. So I'm excited to do a read through with her soon in New York and other fun shows like that, and a lot of stand up that I'll be announcing on social media and stuff too around the city and on tour. So yeah, that's some of the stuff I'm looking forward to.
Awesome, Jacob. Well, everybody heard that. Follow Jacob at MR or Mr. Jacob Williams on social media. Check him out on Wild and Out. Listen to his comedy album. Jacob has a lot to offer, and your ears would be so lucky to listen to him. So,
Thank you.
yes. So, Jacob, thank you so much for doing the show. This was a real pleasure. It was a real treat. It's always great seeing you, and I hope to see you in person sooner than later.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely, Jacob. We'll talk soon. All right.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye.